Well, hello again, and welcome again to another reading. And we're going through the book From the Far Country to the Father's House. It's from the Grace and Truth Gospel Series. It's book 2 of 12. And our article today is For Christ or Against Him. Now, with that said, let's just get to our article. Will you grant me your attention for a few moments? Well, with God's help, I will put before you some truths, which, through directly written in God's Word, are so little read or heeded that more than once lately I have been met with expressions of the most astonishing, incredibly, in quoting verses containing such truths. And should my statement seem strange to you also, and thereby should you be inclined to doubt their velocity, I beg you to open up our Bible and there prove that they are not my thoughts and opinions, but the truths of God's, and that He has said, thy word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last days. John 12:48. At least you should think. I prophesied evil only, and write in condemnation of others to the exclusion of myself. I would have you understand that I who write was only 5 summers back, deep in the world enjoyment, trading, abiding, blindfolded the road of destruction, but that now through the Lord's mercy and without a single atom of merit to myself, I have a passport for heaven and am a certainty of eternity, of glory, as you shall be, if you will but hear me out and allow a gracious God to have his way with you, to clear you from every speck of sin and give you the title of eternal salvation, from which neither things present nor things to come nor shall be able to separate you. And may I ask, first of all, are you, like most people, making the best of this world? Once one of the crowd had mechanicalism, following the tides of pleasure and fashion. Why, of course, I'm not a hermit, you say. Then you admit you are on good terms with the world, that you are in society. So I bring forward my first truth, and yet not mine, but God's. You are an enemy of God. Oh, how can you say such a dreadful thing? You explain. It is not a reader, but God, the living God, who says, here, his own words, the friendship of the world is enemies with God. Verse 4:4. James, chapter 4, verse 4. And again, love not the world, neither the things in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. 1 John 2:15. I know this will startle, perhaps it will offend you, but it is true. That comes from the one judge righteous judgment, and on the verdict hangs the eternal destiny, and when he speaks, he shall answer. But you see, I have never done anything very wrong. I am not the worst than others. And to imagine because the multitude sides with you, you are out of danger, is the fatal mistake. My thoughts are not your thoughts, says the Lord. So he that written, and may he write on your memory with the eternal pen broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there are that go in threat. Matthew 7:13. And then in the very way that seemeth right unto man, but the end there is the way of death. Proverbs 15:12 and 16:25. And when for vital importance, God twice utters the same warning. Note, surely we ought to ourselves our own destruction if we take no heed. But I go to church, I say my prayers, and sometimes even take the Lord's Supper, and such replies brings before me another who in a coming day shall knock at then closed door of mercy and say, we have esteemed and drank and in thy presence. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not, whence ye are. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity. Luke 13, verses 26 and 27. You may do all these things and yet be taken aside against God. For if you are mixing this with the world's pleasure, you are on its part, and whosoever will be a friend, a supporter, or a planner of the world is an enemy of God. James 4, verse 4. You cannot serve two masters, and if you are following the dictator of him who leads captive so subtly, and remember he came not in his own serpent form, but as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14. Then you cannot serve God, and you cannot be on his side, who is not the world. John 17, verse 14. And he says, he that is not for me is against me. Oh, stop and think, reader. When you are against Christ and the enemy of God, may he awake you to his opposition. I know your heart will raise up in anger as you read. It seems hard to be under God's judgment when perhaps you have never done one evil thing in man's account. But remember, it is with God, not man, we have to do. And he judges not by the outward appearance, but by the heart. And listen, when with him sins begin, and the thoughts and foolishness of sins. Proverbs 24, verse 9. And this root of sin is bound in our way, innermost being, and if the foolishness only stands against us, which of us is helplessly guilty. Yes, reader, you and I, by nature and by practice, are indeed under sin and under condemnation, condemned already. John 3:18 is the sentence of him who can in no wise clear the guilty, children of wrath, having no hope, and without God in the world. Ephesians 2:12. You see, our very nature is corrupt, for the cardinal mind, literally the mind of our nature, and the unconverted mind is enemies against God. But it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. Romans 8:7. We have all gone our way. We are all as unclean things, and our very righteousness are as filthy rags. Isaiah 64:6. Before him, in whose sight the heavens are not clear, yes, every mouth is stopped. We are without excuse. The whole world is guilty before God. Romans 3:19. Lost sheep indeed, are we wandering on this dreary mountain in the far country, with only a broken cistern and husk and unsatisfying husk of the world's pleasures, to nourish souls made in the image of God. Oh, if man would only understand that Christ alone can fill the void, and the unsatisfied, something that is very unforgiven soul is hid deep down in his heart. And he says, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. And whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. Nothing e'er can satisfy while he can draw and win and fill completely, till the cup has overflowed the brim. Why is the world an evil thing, you ask? Because it is the vast system built up to exclude God, where men are made happy without him. We practically say to him, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy way. It was on this principle that Cain, the first worldly man, acted. He went out from the presence of the Lord and built the city, and sought to make himself happy outside his presence, to forget him. And too soon we hear of men seeking out many inventions, and would then aid music pleasure, no doubt, in luring the voice and the unpurged conscience, that he begins to forget that he has turned his face from God. And now his followers, those who pleasure and plan outside his presence, who move daily in scenes where the mention of his name is an intrusion, astonished where the harm is going into the world. There is not harm only, there is danger, and that for eternity, for such are dead towards God. For she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. 1 Timothy 5:5. Graceless souls are led captive by Satan, who became his exclusive reign, is called the God of this world, the prince and the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. Ephesians 2:2. And I lost, for it is written, if our gospel is hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ should shine unto them. 2 Corinthians 4, verses 3 and 4. Dear pleasure seeker, you are raised and eternal outside the Lord's presence, for if you will not have him, the life do you not know, you cannot have him in death. But God is so loved you that he sent his Son to save you, to turn you from the power of Satan, the power which draws you into the world, unto God. He knows you are in Satan's snare. Take captive of him as he will. So Jesus came to preach deliverance of the captives, and if you only let him draw you with his band of love, if you only see his marvelous plan of redemption, he will save you. For he came not to judge the world, but to save the world, to die the just for in the place of the unjust, that he might bring us to God. He will give you another nature, the second birth, without which God declares no man can enter his kingdom. John 2, verses 3 to 5. And it will give you new desires, new pleasures, so that you will turn of your own choice, and what before enticed you will count it all loss for the excellency of knowing him and tasting his love. And believe me, it passes knowledge. It is the matchless, so unmeasurable that the heart is too small to hold it. It runs over. Oh, reader, only test it, for it is a reality, a true living thing that makes up tens of thousands times for the earthly joys, and can give you even here the taste such raptures as has not entered into the heart of man, but which God has prepared for them that love him. Oh, just tell him you know you are far from him, if that is all he wants, bowing to his verdict, and he will save you, and there will be joy over you in heaven. Luke 15:7, and you will be his forever, who not having seen we love, in whom, though now we see him not, yet believe, we rejoice with the joy is unspeakable. 1 Peter 1:8. If you will not hear his voice today, if you will harden your heart, hear his sentence when he takes up his strange work judgment, because I called and you refused. I stretch out my hand, and no man regards, but ye have set at nigh all the counsels, and would not of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity, and will mock when your fear cometh, when distress and anguish comes upon you. Proverbs 1 verse 24, etc. Oh, will you not trust him? He stands at the door and knocks, and now is the day of salvation. A. Disc C. And that completes the reading for today. So if you are for Christ or against him, which you have to answer that question. Bye for now.